What would you do if a room full of celebrities laughed at jokes made at your expense? Most people would either shrink into silence or fire back with anger, but not Elon Musk. At a star-studded awards show, a famous comedian decided to take aim at Musk, roasting him for his political views, quirky tweets, and of course his obsession with Mars. But when Elon took the stage, he didn't just respond, he turned the entire room on its head. What happened next left everyone speechless and made even his biggest critic call him one of the real ones. Stay tuned to find out how Elon Musk transformed a roast into a moment of inspiration and grace. The stage glittered under a cascade of shimmering lights, casting a golden glow across the grand hall. It was the night of the annual Tech and Innovation Awards, a star-studded event where the brightest minds of the tech world mingled with celebrities, influencers, and media personalities. Tables adorned with crystal glasses and elegant centerpieces stretched across the room, each occupied by figures whose names were synonymous with innovation and success. The energy in the air was palpable, fueled by a mix of anticipation and camaraderie. The crowd buzzed with conversations about the latest breakthroughs, whispered rumors, and of course predictions for the night's winners. Laughter and applause echoed as the host, a renowned comedian with a sharp tongue and an even sharper wit, took center stage. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," the comedian began, his booming voice drawing every eye to him. "Welcome to the night where we celebrate people so smart they make the rest of us feel like we're still trying to figure out how to connect to Wi-Fi." The crowd erupted in laughter, and the comedian grinned, pacing the stage with the confidence of a man who knew exactly how to hold an audience in the palm of his hand. Known for his edgy humor and fearless roasts, he had built a reputation for taking jabs at even the most untouchable figures. At a prominent table near the front sat Elon Musk, the man many considered the face of modern innovation. Dressed in a classic black tuxedo, he exuded a quiet confidence that stood out in the lively atmosphere. Flanked by Tesla and SpaceX executives, Musk sipped water as he listened to the opening monologue, occasionally leaning over to exchange words with a colleague. Every so often, the camera would pan to him, his face illuminated on the massive screens around the room. Unlike others who laughed nervously or fidgeted under the spotlight, Musk remained composed, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. His calmness seemed almost out of place in a room so charged with energy, yet it commanded attention. The comedian, always eager to stir the pot, shifted gears. "Now let's talk about the man who's single-handedly trying to turn our planet into a battery and our neighbor into a vacation home, Elon Musk." Laughter rippled through the crowd as heads turned toward Musk's table. The billionaire's smile widened slightly, but he made no move to react, his posture as steady as ever. "You know, Elon," the comedian continued, "I have to hand it to you. You've got everyone convinced that Mars is the next big thing. Meanwhile, Earth's over here like, what did I do wrong?" The audience laughed louder this time, some clapping at the quip. Musk, ever unflappable, nodded in acknowledgement, as if he too saw the humor. "And those tweets. Oh, those tweets. Elon, are you sure you're running SpaceX and Tesla? Or are you secretly running a stand-up comedy account? I mean, I'm just waiting for the punchline to, 'I bought Twitter.'" The crowd roared with laughter, though a hint of nervousness lingered. The comedian was clearly pushing boundaries, but that was his style. Musk remained unbothered, his serene demeanor unshaken. The comedian's tone turned mockingly pensive. "But seriously, folks, you've got to admire the man's commitment to his vision. Mars? Check. Electric cars? Check. Free speech? Check. Ordinary people? I think that one got lost on the way to the launch pad." This time, the laughter was tinged with unease. The joke felt sharper, more personal. The room seemed to hold its breath, wondering how Musk would react. All eyes turned to him as the camera zoomed in. Musk didn't flinch. Instead, he offered a polite smile and a nod, his expression almost unreadable. It wasn't defiance, nor was it resignation. It was the kind of calm that only comes from a deep understanding of one's own values. The comedian, perhaps sensing the tension, quickly shifted focus, but the moment had already set the stage for something unexpected. Musk's measured response had intrigued the audience, leaving them eager to see what he would do when his moment came. The room settled, but the buzz around Musk's reaction lingered in the air. Little did they know the man they had just laughed at was about to take the stage and deliver a response no one would forget. The energy in the room shifted as the comedian wrapped up his monologue and looked toward the podium. "And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for," he said, his voice dripping with exaggerated fanfare. "Tonight's highest honor for innovation goes to none other than the man who's trying to send us all to Mars, and maybe leave me there, Elon Musk." The audience erupted into applause, a few scattered cheers rising above the clapping. All eyes turned toward Musk's table, where he rose from his seat with the same composed demeanor he'd maintained all night. Smiling politely, he adjusted his tuxedo jacket and made his way toward the stage. As Musk approached, the comedian extended his hand, a smirk playing on his lips as if daring Musk to retaliate. Musk shook it firmly, his expression unreadable, and climbed the steps to the podium. The crowd settled into silence, clearly curious about how the man of the hour would respond after enduring such a public roasting. Musk stepped up to the microphone, pausing to survey the room. His calm, measured presence contrasted with the lively, buzzing atmosphere. He leaned in slightly and spoke in his unmistakably soft-spoken, deliberate tone. "Wow," he began, his lips curling into a faint smile. "I didn't realize I'd signed up for a stand-up special tonight. But hey," he paused, letting the suspense build. "Laughter is the best rocket fuel, right?" The room erupted into laughter, the tension from earlier evaporating in an instant. Even the comedian couldn't help but laugh, nodding in acknowledgement of Musk's quick wit. Encouraged by the warm response, Musk continued, "It's been a great night so far. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy being told they spend too much time thinking about Mars? For the record," he said with a mock-serious expression, "it's probably true." The audience roared with laughter again, the ice officially broken. Musk's tone remained light, but his words carried the precision of a man used to delivering solutions, and apparently punchlines. "You know, I've always appreciated a good roast," he said, glancing briefly at the comedian. "It's kind of like building a rocket. You have to endure the heat, but if you're lucky, you come out the other side with something that can really take off." The crowd applauded, a ripple of admiration running through the room. Musk's ability to turn even a jab into a teaching moment wasn't lost on them. He shifted gears, poking fun at himself. "I mean, let's be honest. Some of the things people say about me are pretty spot on. My tweets? Yeah, they're weird. I'll admit it. But what can I say? It's 3 a.m., and sometimes you just feel like tweeting about flamethrowers." The audience howled, with a few people shouting out cheers. Musk chuckled along with them, his dry humor hitting all the right notes. "And then there's the Mars thing," he continued, his expression turning mock thoughtful. "People love to joke that I'm obsessed with Mars and, well, guilty as charged. But here's the thing, Earth is complicated. Sometimes it feels like starting over might actually be easier." The room erupted into laughter, the joke landing perfectly. Musk's ability to laugh at himself, combined with his subtle acknowledgement of the complexities of human progress, resonated with everyone in attendance. Even the comedian, sitting at the edge of the stage, gave Musk a thumbs up. "And speaking of Mars," Musk added, his voice taking on a more earnest tone, "I know it sounds crazy. Trust me, I've heard all the jokes. But for me, it's about something bigger. It's about pushing the limits of what's possible and proving that humanity is capable of incredible things when we work together." The audience quieted slightly, the weight of his words settling over them. Musk had managed to seamlessly transition from humor to inspiration, captivating the room in the process. Musk finished his segment with a grin. "So, to our host," he said, turning to the comedian. "Thank you for keeping me grounded tonight. or at least as grounded as someone who builds rockets can be. The room burst into applause, cheers mixing with laughter. Musk stepped back from the podium, offering a small wave before returning to his seat. The energy in the room had shifted entirely. What started as a roast had turned into a moment of genuine connection and respect. Little did anyone know, the real twist of the evening was yet to come. As the laughter subsided and the applause tapered off, Elon Musk stepped back to the microphone, his tone softening. The twinkle of humor in his eyes faded just slightly, replaced with something more introspective. "Now," Musk began, his voice calm and measured, "it's fun to laugh, and it's always good to not take yourself too seriously. Trust me, I've had plenty of practice being the punchline. But I also think it's important to share where I'm coming from, because humor and criticism have always been a big part of my journey." The room grew quiet, the shift in his demeanor immediately drawing everyone's attention. Musk paused for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts. "I grew up in South Africa," he said, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "It was during apartheid, a time when inequality wasn't just something you read about. It was everywhere you looked. As a kid, I didn't fully understand what was happening, but I could feel that something was very wrong. There was this constant sense of division, of unfairness, and it stuck with me." Musk's eyes scanned the audience, his words measured and deliberate. "I remember one moment in particular. I was around 10 years old, riding in the car with my dad. We were stopped at a traffic light, and I saw a man, barefoot, wearing tattered clothes, trying to sell fruit on the side of the road. It was blistering hot, and he looked exhausted. Meanwhile, cars full of well-dressed people sped past him, ignoring him like he wasn't even there. I asked my dad why things were like that, why some people seemed to have everything while others had nothing. He paused, the memory visibly weighing on him. My dad didn't really have an answer. He just said, "That's the way things are." But even as a kid, I couldn't accept that. I didn't want to believe that was just the way things were supposed to be. The audience was silent, hanging on his every word. Musk shifted slightly, the corners of his mouth twitching as if grappling with whether to share the next part. "I don't talk about this much," he said, his voice quieter. "But growing up wasn't exactly easy for me either. I was the smallest kid in school, and I was, well, let's just say I wasn't very popular. I loved books and computers when everyone else cared about sports. I didn't fit in." The crowd listened intently as Musk recounted his school days. "There was this group of kids who used to pick on me. They'd corner me during recess, push me around and laugh while they did it. One day it got so bad they pushed me down a flight of stairs. I ended up in the hospital." A collective gasp rippled through the room, and Musk allowed the silence to linger for a moment before continuing. "I don't tell you this to make you feel sorry for me. I tell you this because it taught me something. It taught me that resilience isn't just about getting back up. It's about turning pain into purpose." Musk straightened slightly, his voice growing stronger. "Those experiences, seeing injustice, feeling powerless, they stayed with me. They made me ask questions. Why does inequality exist? Why do people suffer when there's enough in the world for everyone? And most importantly, what can we do to change it?" He glanced around the room, locking eyes with several people in the audience as he continued. "That's what drives me. It's why I started Tesla, to make clean energy affordable for everyone, not just the wealthy. It's why I launched Starlink, to bring internet access to places the world forgot. And yes, it's why I'm so obsessed with Mars. Not because I want to run away from Earth, but because I believe in humanity's potential to do extraordinary things." The sincerity in his voice was undeniable. "When people criticize me for my ideas or my tweets or my goals, I get it. I really do. But I also believe that progress doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from taking risks, from being willing to look foolish, and from having the courage to try something new, even if it doesn't work the first time." By now, the room was transfixed. Even the comedian, who had spent the evening ribbing Musk, sat in quiet contemplation, his smirk replaced with a thoughtful expression. Musk's words had cut through the noise, reaching something deeper in everyone present. "I know I'm not perfect," Musk admitted, his tone softening again. "I've made mistakes, plenty of them. But my goal has always been the same, to make life better for as many people as possible. And if that means being the butt of a few jokes, well," he said with a small smile, "that's a trade I'm willing to make." The audience, previously subdued, erupted into applause, some rising to their feet. Musk looked momentarily taken aback, but quickly nodded his thanks, his humility shining through. As the applause continued, Musk added one final thought. "At the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about all of us. It's about the kind of world we want to build and the kind of future we want to leave behind. And if we can laugh at ourselves a little along the way, well, maybe that's a sign we're headed in the right direction." The room was silent for a moment, the weight of his words sinking in, before another wave of applause swept over the crowd. Even those who had come expecting to laugh at Musk were now applauding him with genuine admiration. The comedian, seated near the stage, leaned over to someone and whispered, "I think I just got roasted back, and I didn't even realize it." Musk's personal story had done more than just address the evening's jokes. It had reminded everyone of the power of resilience, innovation, and a willingness to dream big. At that moment, he wasn't just a billionaire or a tech mogul. He was a man with a vision, a story, and a heart, and he had shared it with the world. As Elon Musk wrapped up his speech with a heartfelt nod of gratitude, the room erupted into a thunderous, standing ovation. The applause was more than just polite acknowledgement. It was filled with genuine admiration. People clapped, cheered, and some even whistled, a wave of respect washing over the once light-hearted crowd. The comedian, still seated near the stage, leaned back in his chair, visibly processing what had just unfolded. Musk's speech had not only captivated the audience but also shifted the tone of the entire evening. With a sheepish grin, the comedian stood, adjusted his jacket, and made his way back to the microphone. Taking the stage, the comedian looked out at the audience, his trademark smirk replaced by a look of genuine surprise. "Well, folks," he began, pausing for dramatic effect, "I think I might have underestimated Elon Musk." The crowd burst into laughter, clapping in agreement. Musk, seated at his table now, offered a small wave, his expression as calm and unassuming as ever. "That was unexpected," the comedian admitted, shaking his head with a grin. "Here I thought I was the one with the punchlines tonight, but Elon over here just roasted me, and he didn't even have to try." The room filled with laughter, the tension of the earlier roast completely diffused. The comedian, sensing he had the audience back in his corner, couldn't resist adding one last quip. "But Elon," he said, turning to look directly at Musk, "I still think you spend way too much time thinking about Mars. Like, seriously, Earth isn't that bad, is it?" The crowd erupted again, their laughter light and easy. Musk chuckled along with them, raising his glass in mock acknowledgement of the joke. After the event concluded and the awards were handed out, the crowd began to disperse, the energy in the room still buzzing from the evening's highlights. Backstage, the comedian lingered near the exit, his usual swagger tempered by a hint of self-reflection. Spotting Musk in conversation with a few colleagues, he took a deep breath and approached. "Elon," the comedian called out, his tone more sincere than anyone had heard all night. Musk turned, offering his trademark polite nod. "Got a minute?" Musk stepped away from the small group, his hands casually tucked into his pockets. "Sure," he said, his voice as calm as ever. The comedian scratched the back of his neck, a rare look of humility crossing his face. "I just wanted to say, thanks for taking the roast so well tonight. I mean, I threw some pretty hard punches, but you handled it like a champ." Musk smiled, a faint glimmer of humor in his eyes. "I've been hit harder," he said, the light joke catching the comedian off guard. The two shared a brief laugh before the comedian grew more serious. "Honestly though, I misjudged you. I thought you'd be this stiff, overly serious guy who couldn't take a joke." But man, you proved me wrong. That speech, well, it was something else. Musk's expression softened. I appreciate that, he said simply. But really, I don't mind the jokes. If we can't laugh at ourselves, we're taking life way too seriously. The comedian nodded, clearly impressed. That's a good way to look at it, he admitted. And hey, for what it's worth, you got me thinking about a lot of things. As the two men shook hands, the comedian smiled, this time without a hint of irony. You know, he said, I might just have to add you to my list of people I actually respect. Don't let it go to your head, though. Musk chuckled softly. Noted. The comedian started to walk away, but stopped and turned back. One last thing, he added with a grin. If you ever do end up on Mars, save me a seat. I've got a few jokes I could workshop there. Musk laughed, the sound light and genuine. Deal. As the comedian walked off, Musk turned back to his colleagues, his expression as calm and thoughtful as ever. But for those who had witnessed the exchange, it was clear that something had shifted. The comedian, known for his sharp tongue and relentless jabs, had walked away with something unexpected. A newfound respect for the man who had turned his roast into a moment of inspiration. By the time the comedian tweeted about the encounter later that night, the story had already begun to circulate. Tonight I roasted Elon Musk, but turns out he's one of the real ones. Respect. The tweet was accompanied by a candid photo of the two men backstage, shaking hands. Musk wore his characteristic calm expression, while the comedian flashed a grin that hinted at both respect and humility. The picture exuded authenticity, a moment of genuine connection between two very different personalities. It didn't take long for the post to gain traction. Within minutes, likes, retweets, and comments poured in by the thousands. By morning, the tweet was trending globally, with people from all walks of life weighing in. Some praised Musk's humility, others applauded the comedian for acknowledging his change of heart. But one thing was clear: Elon Musk had managed to win over even his sharpest critic, not by fighting fire with fire, but by remaining true to himself. And in the process, he'd reminded everyone in the room and beyond of the power of resilience, humility, and a good sense of humor. The internet, as it often does, divided itself into factions. Many praised Musk for his grace under fire, hailing him as a role model for handling criticism with humility and humor. Proof that kindness and self-awareness always win. #RealElon, one user wrote. This is how you deal with a roast, by showing you can laugh at yourself while still standing up for what you believe in. Respect to Elon Musk, tweeted another. Others admired the comedian's willingness to admit he had misjudged Musk. Big props to the comedian for owning up. It's not easy to admit when you're wrong, especially in front of the world. Meanwhile, memes flooded Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit, with captions like, "When you try to roast Elon Musk, but he ends up roasting you with class, and Mars has more room for humility than Earth, apparently." #RealElon and #ClassAct quickly began trending, cementing the night's events as a cultural phenomenon. Not everyone was on board, of course. As with anything involving Musk, critics chimed in too. Nice PR move, but it's just another billionaire trying to look relatable, one detractor tweeted. Their comments sparked debates that spiraled into long threads dissecting Musk's history, the merits of his work, and the broader implications of wealth and power. Yet, even among skeptics, there was a grudging acknowledgement of Musk's poise during the event. Well, I don't agree with his politics, but credit where it's due. He handled that better than most would, one user admitted. The online discourse became a reflection of Musk's own philosophy, a space for disagreement, discussion, and ultimately, connection. And while opinions varied, one sentiment seemed to rise above the noise. Musk's ability to turn criticism into a teachable moment was rare and admirable. The awards show, which had previously been known for its glitzy production and sharp humor, suddenly became more than just another Hollywood-style event. News outlets picked up the story, running headlines like, "Elon Musk turns roast into redemption, a night to remember." From Mars to Heart, how Elon Musk won over a comedian and the internet. The comedian who mocked Musk learns a lesson in grace. Segments on Morning Talk shows dissected the night's events, with hosts debating everything from Musk's political stances to his unexpected sense of humor. Clips of Musk's speech circulated widely, with millions of views across platforms. The comedian himself became part of the narrative, hailed by some as an example of humility and growth. During an interview later that week, he addressed the tweet and the encounter with Musk. "I'll be honest," he admitted. "I went in with this idea of Elon as this untouchable tech billionaire, someone who couldn't take a joke. But after talking to him, I realized he's more down to earth, well, metaphorically, than I expected. He's got a sense of humor, he's thoughtful, and, yeah, I respect the guy." Beyond the immediate buzz, the night seemed to inspire a broader cultural moment. On social media, people began sharing their own stories of reconciliation and understanding, using the hashtags #RealElon and ClassAct to highlight instances where criticism had turned into connection. One user posted, "Had a tough conversation with a coworker today. Instead of fighting, I tried listening. Turns out we had more in common than I thought. Thanks at Elon Musk for the unexpected lesson." Another wrote, "Maybe the world needs more of this. Less shouting, more humility. A comedian and Elon Musk just showed us how it's done." Even public figures chimed in. Donald Trump tweeted, "Whatever you think of at Elon Musk, his response last night was a masterclass in grace and leadership. We could all learn from it." By the end of the week, the awards show had become more than just a glitzy event. It was remembered as the night when humor, humility, and humanity intersected in a way that felt refreshingly authentic. For Musk, it was another example of his ability to navigate the complexities of public perception while staying true to his vision. For the comedian, it was a moment of personal growth and a reminder that even the sharpest critic can learn something new. But for everyone watching, whether in the room that night or from their phones and screens, it was a lesson in how to bridge divides. It was a reminder that laughter, when paired with understanding, has the power to bring people together in ways few other things can. And it all started with a tweet. In the days following the event, one line from Musk's speech stood out. It was shared, retweeted, and quoted across platforms, resonating deeply with those who read it. At the end of the day, it's not about winning arguments or proving people wrong. It's about building a future we can all be proud of. The simplicity of the statement carried a profound truth. In a world often divided by opinions, ideologies, and endless debates, Musk's words served as a reminder of what really matters: progress. His approach that night reflected his broader mission to focus less on individual differences and more on what humanity can achieve together. For a brief moment, the world paused to reflect. Fans and critics alike were reminded that progress isn't born from perfection. It's born from persistence, vulnerability, and the willingness to embrace both criticism and connection. Elon Musk, often seen as a polarizing figure, had managed to unite people in a way few expected. The awards show was no longer just a glitzy event. It had become a symbol of something bigger. It reminded people that even in a world filled with division, there's always room for understanding, laughter, and a shared vision of what's possible. And that, my friends, is the story of how Elon Musk turned a roast into a masterclass in humility, resilience, and vision. But here's the thing, it's not just about Elon, it's about all of us. What if we could all handle criticism with that same grace? What if we focused on building bridges instead of burning them? Imagine the kind of progress we could achieve together. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who could use a reminder that even the toughest challenges can lead to powerful moments of connection. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories that inspire, entertain, and remind us of the good we're capable of, Make sure to subscribe to Prime Tales and turn on notifications. Let's keep reaching for the stars, one story at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.